Hi, Mickey. So
Hi.
so excited to have you at the summit.
Same.
I just like to read your bio before we jump into it for our audience. Mickey is a social entrepreneur, advisor, and investor who uses creativity and disruptive innovation to challenge the status quo and change culture. She's the founder of several acclaimed social enterprises, Tushy, Thinks, and Wild, collectively valued at over 200 million. She's also the author of the number one best-selling books, Do Cool Shit and Disrupt Her. So, Mickey, before we jump into our topic of generative innovation, I'd actually just like to try and understand, what creates somebody with this incredible amount of drive and just wanting to, just change big problems. Can you actually tell us a bit about your background?
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy to be here. I love South African accent. I've been to South Africa 3 times, including the World Cup in 2010. And one of my best friends is South African. So I really love the culture, the accent and all the things. Um, so yeah, so I mean, I think for me, it's really growing up in a very worldly family. I think my father's from India, my mother's from Japan. I grew up in French Canada in Montreal, in a French neighborhood, like super, like Français de Quebec, like d'aplomb, like very very French Canadian. And I think just having access and exposure to 3 different cultures, plus the English culture, plus the US culture, kind of create a really soup of curiosity and a soup of questioning, and also the different perspectives, just offering new insights and a new ability to think beyond just linearly and one dimensionally, but just like, oh, like this is what happens in this part of the world, this is what people think about it in this part of the world, and this is how the perspectives are, and it's very interesting. And it just kind of gave me a very kind of global open outlook on solving problems. And I think I also grew up with, my father came here from India with $5 in his pocket. Pretty sounds cliche, but it's true. My mother came here from Japan, barely speaking any English. 1974, all odds against them. They fell in love, got married. Within 1 year, had 3 children. I'm an identical twin. I have a third sister who's 11 months older. And we really just, I think grew up with the ability to say, is this the best way to do it? My parents always said, if you see something in the world that you don't like, then you have the power to change that. And I think that agency, that sort of sovereignty, that autonomy to like make some change for myself was really powerful, and was just sort of like, oh wow, like without money, without resources, without any of that, but with a pure drive and curiosity and authentic energy, I can go and make a change. Wow, that's really cool. And I think, my parents set an example for that. They, when we were growing up, there wasn't any gifted children summer camp growing up. And my parents started Montreal's very first gifted children summer camp. And 500 kids. My mom, again with a thick Japanese accent, not having any experience in the past to do something like that, launched Montreal's first gifted children summer camp, and it ran for 15 years with hundreds and hundreds of kids coming through every single year. When we were younger, in like the late 80s, early 90s, my parents were like, oh, electronics is going to be the future. This is really when personal computers, we were like the first family on our block to have a Commodore 64 with a cassette tape where you had to like, play the game Snoopy.
Yeah, I remember that.
Wait for like 30 minutes for the game to load, and played, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? I don't know if you remember that. And, all those amazing games. And so he was just like, my parents were like, electronics are the future. And they created the first children's electronics kits company to teach kids about electronics.
Right.
So we just kind of watched them solve problems without complaining about the problems, without, just talking shit. They're just like, okay, we're as much as somebody to solve this problem. We're going to go fix it. We're going to go figure it out. No resources, no.
And when did you realize you wanted to be a businesswoman? Because I know you were a professional soccer player for a period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I played soccer starting age 4, and I played all 4 years at Cornell and D1, and I played for the New York Magic for 2 seasons, and I had subsequently 3 ACL reconstructions, and so that kind of hung up my cleats for the rest of the time. Although I'm now coaching my son, who just scored 6 goals in his last game, just to say.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, his name is Hero. We call him Hero Ronaldo. Yeah, so I played soccer, and then I think, again, I also realized about myself that I'm not very employable. Like I don't, I kind of like when I see things, I kind of just want to solve them, and that can also get a little, disruptive, I guess. And so,
tell us about your 4 businesses: pizza, periods, pee, and poo.
Yeah,
your 4 incredible enterprises that you've created.
Yeah, I mean, they all came from, like that famous saying, necessity is the mother of invention. And it's really all about solving problems for ourselves first, because that's when you find the greatest passion, and then you can solve problems for others, and then see if it's a viable business. And the first problem that I had was just having a really sensitive stomach, and very sensitive to processed foods, hormone-filled dairy, and like bleached flowers and processed everything.
I've got the same issue.
Yeah, just very sensitive, and most people are sensitive to stuff that's.
I mean, I would be the best customer at Wild.
Right? Yeah. Well, back then, so I had the stomach aches starting 2003, 2004, and when I moved to New York, and everyone was eating pizza, I loved eating pizza, but it would just make me so bloated and so gassy and so much pain and really bad stomach aches. And so I was looking around for, and in the discovery and the research of it, I was like, wow, pizza is a $32 billion industry. Americans eat 100 acres of pizza every single day. There's a huge opportunity here to bring forward a better version, a healthier version made with, unbleached, gluten-free flours, hormone-free local cheeses, seasonal toppings from local seasonal farms. And this is like in 2004 when nobody was talking about gluten-free, farm-to-table, local, seasonal. So it was very granola, Birkenstock wearing type person that would kind of go to a health food store and everything tastes like cardboard there. So it was a very kind of niche category at the time. So I think so much of my kind of thesis and understanding of people and human behavior came from the many, 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 many years I spent in my restaurants, standing outside my restaurants, handing out pizzas. It feels like it was something that I can get real life kind of human data on people. And I think that what I learned is that people like to be talked with, like you're talking to a friend, not like, this is what we're trying to do, and this is how we have to be, and this is how you're supposed to eat. Nobody responds to something that's too clinical, too medical, too academic, too sort of, like that people don't like to be talked to in a certain way. So I learned like, just talk to people like their friends, talk to people like their family, just communicate. And I think that languaging kind of translated across my businesses, where the way we talk about our companies and our brands and our products are very colloquial, very funny, very irreverent, very just like you're texting your best friend. I learned that at my restaurant. I also learned about aesthetics at my restaurants, where across the board, where, we, in order to really change the way people think, making an experience feel really beautiful. And I think when I started Thinx, the period proof underwear company, when I started Tushy after that, modern bidet company, we're talking about things that are really taboo. When you're talking about periods or poop, that people are like, ooh, or like, I don't want to talk about this. To make it aesthetically beautiful and to make it accessible and relatable from a languaging perspective, those key things really, really got people to lean in, to look at the thing versus just like kind of recoil.
Right. So let's move on to the topic of the discussion, which is generative innovation. Tell us about that phrase and where it comes from, and some of your thinking around that.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I know I talked a lot about my restaurants, but like, there's so many lessons from Thinx and so many lessons from Tushy. And these are both, the companies that hit, 9-figure plus. But I think all of those lessons stemmed from, the early learnings from the restaurants. And so that's why I kind of leaned into those, to those lessons a little bit more. but the aesthetics and the languaging is really, I think, what helped us challenge the status quo in the period space and disrupt the $15 billion feminine hygiene category, and then disrupt the $10+ billion toilet paper category. So that all stems from that same thesis.
I mean, just before we get to generative innovation, I mean, I can imagine, the first time you were selling the idea for the bidets, and you were trying to explain it to someone like, I'm going to create. I mean, how did that go? How was that conversation when you were trying to say, I've got this incredible idea?
People were like,
it sounds bizarre.
Yeah. People were like, what are you doing? For me, again, it solved my own problem. In 2013, 2014, I had developed, because I was working so much, a hyperthyroid condition. When your body is just working in overtime for so long, it just needs to produce more thyroid hormone to just keep your body moving. And I wasn't really paying attention to my body and my body's like needs. And I've learned since then to really listen to my body. But, at the time I wasn't. And because of that, I developed a hyperthyroid condition. One of the side effects was pooping a lot. And so I was pooping like 8 times a day. I got down to like 100 pounds. It was really scary. And it was really painful. Like my butt got chapped, and it was just so like, ugh. And so my husband got me this really kind of crappy bidet product and attached it to my toilet because he thought it would help me soothe my butt. And it did. And it completely like changed my life, actually, because I was pooping so much. And I was just like, oh my God. Then I started thinking about like all the different people who have GI issues, people who have chronic UTIs, hemorrhoids, anal fissures, anal itching, people who have like, bacterial vaginosis. There's like millions, tens and tens and tens of millions of cases. The 56 million people with disabilities reaching around to wipe their butts is a challenge. Elderly community. There's just so many. The people who care about the planet and don't want to kill 15 million trees every single year for toilet paper consumption. The people who care about health and hygiene, especially post-COVID, they're like, I want to be clean. I'm cleaning everything. I'm using Purell for everything, but like, I'm just full of bacteria and virus spreading crap down there, which I'm using toilet paper to touch right next to my poop. And then I'm just eating food. And that's how you spread viruses. Literally, that's how most viruses are spread, through poop. And so to alleviate all of that, we create a super simple, beautiful, affordable bidet attachment, under $100 product that clips onto your existing toilet, turns any toilet into bidet in less than 10 minutes. And our product is truly the best in class product. We have full-time product engineers, from top schools who are our design engineers. And we have studied the, people again, and we've really taken everyone's feedback and just made our product best in class, #1 in the world. And so, and at under $100. And so that's, we care about beyond the aesthetics, the design, the blah, blah, blah. We care about the product itself, and it has to be best in class. And that is #1 for us. So I think
so
millions of units.
Okay. So we got 7 minutes left now, and it's just flown. The time's just flown. It's been fantastic speaking with you. Tell us about generative innovation, and tell us what's next.
Yeah. So the next thing I've been really thinking about has been really the concept of, I started with disruptive innovation, really thinking about disrupting industries that have been tired, old, conditioned, taboo. No one wants to talk about it, and therefore there's been little innovation. And so there's a huge opportunity to disrupt those categories. That was my first sort of iteration of, let me innovate and disrupt categories. That's what I care about. Then I was like, okay, but like, what about the next generation? I had a kid. I have a beautiful 4-year-old named Hero. He's amazing. And I've been thinking so much about the world we're leaving behind for our children. And I've been thinking a lot about not only solving problems now, but also solving problems in the future through a single innovation. So I think about like trees, and I think about nature, and you think about the concept of biomimicry, and you think about the concept of circular economy. Biomimicry is really like looking at, like, for example, in Da Vinci, really looked at birds and came up with the first human flying machine before, of course, the Wright brothers created it. But, like really looking at nature and seeing like, oh, wow, and trees, this is how they breathe, and they can just take carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, carbon monoxide, all these different, toxins in the air, and in an instant turn into oxygen, through photosynthesis. It's just like magic. And so how do we take nature's best technology that's been around for billions of years, and it's been iterating for billions of years. How do we take that? How do we take this concept of circular economy? Circular economy is like, when a tree dies, it basically, first of all, gives all of its nutrients to the other trees through the mycelium network. So when it's about to die, it just gifts away all of its nutrients. Then it kind of falls to the ground, and it's just kind of a dying, rotting tree. But so that dying, rotting tree starts to grow mushrooms, right? The mushrooms are now, like thriving off this tree. And then of course, then birds and animals start to eat the mushrooms, and then bigger animals start to eat those smaller animals. And that's sort of like the basis of like circular economy, where it constantly circulates. And it goes back when the big animals die, they go back to the earth, which then feeds the trees and feeds the mycelium network. And it's just this beautiful circular economy. And so humans have kind of adopted a version of that from a consumer product perspective, which is like the milkman model, right? Instead of just like disposable shit everywhere, it's like, you have the glasses, you drink your milk, and you put them out for the milkman to come by, pick up the old ones and replace them with new ones. Circular economy is just circulating sort of the waste in a way that still is not creating more waste. So it's an internal system which is working, which is really cool. But I want to take it even one step further and said, okay, so I'm thinking about disruptive innovation. I'm thinking about biomimicry. I'm thinking about circular economy. What's the next? And so for me, the next is a concept, the term that I kind of coined, which is generative innovation. And the idea behind that is can a product solve a problem now and also subsequently solve a problem in the future? Here's an example. So our newest company, which is now patent pending, which we're so excited about, is called Hero Diapers and Hero Technologies. And what we're doing is we're developing a diaper that is basically that has specific types of microenzymes in it that will, when the baby poops in the diaper, it'll start to literally grow these microenzymes and kind of flourish in the diaper and start to eat the diaper. And then we encourage you, we're doing the garbage bags as well, and we say, hey, throw this in a landfill, and it'll also eat the plastics in landfills too. So not only have we created a product that solves a problem now, but we're also generating a solution for the future. So there's this like double whammy. Generative innovation generates a solution. Other ideas that we're toying with are, well, first of all, Tushy is a generative innovation in a specific way where it's not only solving your health hygiene issues, but it's also saving millions and millions of trees, which are helping our planet stay alive. So there's that generating a solution. We're also saving tons of water. We're saving health and hygiene. All these things, it solves a problem now just by washing it properly, but also generates a solution. I think it, like the next company is even a form of that. So I'm really, really curious. Or another idea would be like, the soccer ball that kids can play with and stay out of trouble in the developing world. That kind of creates sort of energy, and then later you can take that soccer ball and plug it in and use that to like charge your cell phone and charge your lights and stuff like that in different kind of third world country homes and huts and things like that. That's a generative innovation. So what are things that you can solve that can solve a problem now and generate a solution in the future? That's what I'm interested and excited about.
That's so amazing. I mean, you're going for these incredibly big ideas. And how far are you into the process with this next business funding? Like,
yeah, we closed our round in 1 day, which was
wow.
for the first friends and family. We're about to close our second friends and family round now, which is crazy. We have our entire research team and our lab all set up and ready and working. So we're in our 2-year research phase right now of just testing a bunch of different enzymes and things like that. And then we have a university, like an accredited best top university in the States that's going to back our science. And we've partnered with one of the top diaper consultants in the world, the ones who've been doing this for 30 years, who've done every major diaper company, and we're working with them to really consult on the very best materials that are both affordable to the masses, but are also materially great to decompose through the enzymes in the mycelium. So, yeah, a really, really, really exciting time. And, we're bringing all of our energies together for it, between me and my partner that I brought in, who is a myco specialist, 14th generation farmer, built an incredibly huge company, and in the mushroom space. And it's just like when the universe aligns, it's just magic. And it's like the story of this business is so crazy how it unfolded, and that will be for the next conversation. But it's what I learned is that to trust the universal listening. And when it just dropped, I mean, I just, they didn't even give me the universe didn't even give me a breadcrumb. I got the full loaf, of like, here's exactly what you need to do. And here's how, and sometimes it feels a bit mystical, and, we're all science-based people, but like, I love kind of taking cues and just being like, wow, this just happened. Like, I manifested that, or that was manifested because the world needs to be saved in this way. And here's how, and, and we're helping just actualize it. So it's been really, really fun.
So how can people get involved in generative innovation in a way, or how important is innovation as a concept to the future of mankind in your opinion?
I mean, I think it's the most important thing. I think, I can't stress enough to entrepreneurs and to creators and people who are creating anything that, if you're going to go for it, like, don't just start another t-shirt company. Don't start something from ego plays. Don't start something for money, because we're all going to die. We're literally, the money's going to die with us in the box, and we're going to be left with our children, just like literally holding on to the mess that we made. And that feels so uncool. And so for me, it's focus on things that solve real problems in the world. There are plenty of problems to solve. There's weather, there's, planet, there's soil, there's humanitarian. There's just so much that money can be made in these businesses, in these industries, that also desperately in such a dire way need innovation. So I always say, start with the Millennial Development Goals, look at the UN's MDGs, and just see, what are the biggest problems that humans are facing today, and that the world is facing today. Go to Gates Foundation even, and just see all the different challenges and all the things that they are privy to. And these are businesses that can, like the BugNet company has made billions of dollars, but they've solved the malaria crisis in big parts of the world. Or, like, there's so many ways that it's a double bottom line. It's like doing good and doing well financially, and doing good for the planet and the world and for people.
Yeah.
That to me is the future of entrepreneurship. Like, you cannot do something without having something that it solves for people, because people won't care anymore. So I really believe that's the future.
I love it. I mean, Pierre Diamandis has got a famous saying, if you want to make $1 billion, solve a problem that affects 1 billion people.
Yes. Yes.
And for us at Singularity University South Africa, our whole mission is to future-proof Africa. So I can truly say that the world needs more people like you, and keep doing what you're doing. And thank you so much for making the time to be at the summit with us. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for being in the game.